Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Since the 6-week postponement of the 2015 general elections over security concerns filtered, the Nigerian political space has been replete with one question: can the insurgency be quelled in 6 weeks? Today, the story seems to be changing as the Nigerian military, in conjunction with the multinational joint task force, have recorded some successes in this regard, with the bombardment of Sambisa forest and recapturing of some towns hitherto declared as Boko Haram conquered territories. On Channels Beam today, we will be finding out what Nigerians think of this recent development and how secure they feel ahead of the March 28 and April 11 polls. But before we begin that conversation, we will be looking through some of the trending topics in the social cyberspace in the past week. With the arrival of 4 Nigerian Navy ships and its commissioning by President Goodluck Jonathan, Nigerians' belief in the ability of the Navy to safeguard the Nigerian waterways gained a considerable boost. It also heralded a new dawn for the fight against crude oil theft. This Arsenal Football Club legend returned to the Emirates 8 years after leaving the North London Giants for greener pastures, but this time taking a coaching role with the club, where he is the all-time top goal scorer with 226 goals. Well, those were some of the trends, but straight to the business of the day, of which you can also be part of using the hashtag showing on your screen.
I would say that some days back, I was actually following a program and I was reading a newspaper, I think Punch to be precise, where the Nigerian government was actually countering, I think, the notion from their Niger president saying that most of the work were actually done by the Niger and Cameroonian and the Chad joint task force. So I think I am a little, I would say, I'm not going to say very much, but I'll just say a little. I follow this whole process a little, and I'd like to say, well, I commend the effort of our neighbors, talking about the Niger, the Cameroonians, and the Chad. I commend their effort, and I just hope that this collaboration will, to a great effect, help to put out the insurgents.
To the government is not applause, but to we Nigerians, it's applause for us, because at least if our government is failing to protect us, then at least we could say we are grateful to other governments that they are coming to help us. On that note, of course, we have to be glad. Those who live on the borders of Nigeria and Cameroon, they will be glad with that. That Cameroonian soldiers, Chadian soldiers, and probably Niger soldiers are helping them out. Of course, it's a good news for them. But on our part as a country, no, it's a very, very bad and devastating something to bear.
I believe this whole process, the fight against the Boko Haram thing, is just political. I believe that the Nigerian government can do much more than what they are doing right now. It's just a camouflage. They are not ready to do anything. That's just exactly why a small force from Chad, a small force from Cameroon, or the neighboring Niger can combat and win the war that the whole Nigerian force cannot win. So I just believe that this whole thing is a camouflage. Like I said, I believe it's not only a camouflage, it is political. These people, the Nigerian force is not ready to do it. Not just that they are not ready to do anything, but I believe that someone in the helm of affair right there knows exactly where these people are. He's just not doing the right thing.
Firstly, that is laughable for the government to say what they have not been able to do in 5 years, they would do in 6 weeks. Laughable. Couple of days ago, Mr. Donyo Okupe was speaking on TV, and he said the government is not trying to say they will eradicate Boko Haram, but they will debase Boko Haram, as in kind of decentralize them to make sure that area is safe for election. I don't believe in that. Are they just thinking about this? When the INEC announced election, since 2014, the date of the election has been announced, and it was only a week to the election that they just reasoned, or they just realized that it is not safe. Then we have to think what the security chiefs are doing. We have to think about what the security chiefs are doing. For me personally, I don't. In fact, this is like a war, a battle. Let me say a battle. There is no factual date for the end of it. So for the government to say 6 weeks, of course, all Boko Haram can just go hiding for that 6 weeks and let it pass. And of course, during the election, they come out and strike. Boko Haram battle is not something that is centralized, and they are not really centralized in a particular place. We keep talking about Sambisa Forest, and of course, they left Sambisa and they attacked Gombe somehow. It simply means they are not only located in Borno State, they are located also in Adamawa, in Yobe, and of course now Borno, and of course now Gombe State. It simply means what the government is trying to do will not work within that 6 weeks, since what they are fighting is not located in a particular place.
I don't think you can clear up Boko Haram in 6 weeks because that is not possible. Because Boko Haram are not located in a particular part of the country whereby you can just go in and clear them out. They have their strategic plan of moving from one place to another. So 6 weeks, if someone is coming out to tell you that it's going to wipe out Boko Haram in 6 weeks, he's just playing. Even let me refer you back to what happened in the Niger Delta. According to what we heard, they couldn't just defeat them just within a day, even though we know that they are not like Boko Haram, they have a camp. So when you're talking about terrorists, you want to defeat them in 6 weeks, it was just, I think they are not serious enough in saying that. If really that comes out from the authority fighting against Boko Haram, I think they are not serious, because you can't just go in and you said you want to clear terrorist group in the 6 week, a group that's fighting you for over 4 to 5 years now. So I don't think they can achieve that within 6 weeks. If they want to address the public, they should tell them that I think with 6 weeks we can be able to get a little improvement, but not to say they are going to clear them in 6 weeks.
What's the reason for shifting the date of the election? That was February 14th. Was INEC ready? No. Can INEC be ready by February 14th? Yes. Because if you check under 1 week, even the PVC collected under these few days, you see that it has really, really increased. Despite the fact that people would want to still give in that benefit of doubt, oh, I still have more time and all that. Even within the 1 week, you could see the number of PVCs collected. But the way everything came up, it's not too good, because I think this thing could have been taken care of, not even involving the military at all, and not painting a picture as if the military is the one that is dictating whatever happens in the country. So that is that. So now moving to the fight against the Boko Haram, at least from what we've been seeing in the media and the television and what have you, we actually have to give kudos to these men who are working. But there is still a question that is begging for an answer, and the question is, why now? Why was this not done ever before now? Some of my friends have been trying to tell me, oh, we could see some other African countries just joined and all that, and they just did that, and it's now that we are getting their support. But I actually knew that at the time Cameroon was kind of blacklisted, blackmailed, so to say, by some people in government, and I actually had my fear personally, because you cannot blacklist somebody or blackmail somebody. Oh, that is doing this, is doing that. When you fully know that you don't have, according to UN convention, you cannot chase anybody, whether terrorist or whatever. You cannot chase anybody into another person's territory. So when they started coming on here, particularly Channels Television, and they started blackmailing these countries, some of us have friends among them here. You know, they felt like, wow, what exactly do you mean? So it is not impossible that some of those things could have actually contributed to probably late assistance from other African countries. And but as for wiping out Boko Haram in 6 weeks, I personally believe that it is possible to wipe out Boko Haram in 2 weeks, where nobody's interested in playing politics. And it is quite obvious that all along there had been many political considerations and all that that could probably have made resistance into successes. So if it is achieved in 6 weeks, then possibly politics had been put beside and the real work possibly had been faced, and that is the reason why we are seeing the success. But I know every well-meaning Nigerians have always known that Boko Haram could be taken care of in 2 weeks.
I think the government can actually make a lot of progress within the 6 weeks, but I don't think they're going to totally wipe them out within the 6 weeks period, because I know these guys are extremists, and fighting extremists does not end with guns. It's a lot more. They are diehard people. They are ready to go all the way. They keep fighting. So until you finish them, until they are totally out, you still have them coming. So I don't think they're going to be totally wiped out within the 6 week period, but I really think there's a lot of progress that's going to be made within the 6 weeks. Over the past few days, we've heard the news that their camps have been, have been facing a lot of airstrikes, and it's going to reduce their, it's going to shatter their plans and reduce what they plan to do, at least during this election. So reducing their influence within the 6 week period is going to help the election. It's going to make things work a little bit better, because there's going to be a lot of progress. But I don't think they're going to be totally wiped out within the 6 weeks. And then for the 6 weeks postponement, I personally don't think it's a bad idea, because there's the issue of the PVC distribution that is going to be is going to have wider reach, after the 6 week period. And secondly, the security agencies, what they said is actually what's happening. They said they needed 6 more weeks to make some more efforts. I think they've been doing just that. It's not about being gullible. It's about just looking at what's presently happening. And I think INEC, the security agencies, they are on the right track. But I don't think they're going to wipe out the sect in 6 weeks.
I would just add that I think lately we've recorded a lot of successes, and that is quite commendable. But I believe it's something we could have done, a lot earlier, than we're doing right now. One will ask where all of this coalition and all of this cooperation has been in the last 6 years. But I'm sure most people would have touched on all of that. Another set of people who think that it's a desperate attempt by our leadership to try and win back our hearts within the short space of time they have before the general elections. But be that as it may, I believe that what matters is the fact that we're getting results, and I hope that we can continue in this offensive and continue to drive our fight against the insurgency and bring it to the barest minimum.
Well, interesting conversation. We take a break now and get more reactions afterwards. But do remember that you can relive these conversations by visiting our website, channelstv.com, and YouTube channel is youtube.com/channelsweb.